The dog criminal citation for that. Citation, citation, citation.
Look, the only thing that might make me an a-hole out of this whole scenario is the video that I'm putting together to explain why I am not the a-hole. The intention of making this video is not to further any sort of controversy that I have with my neighbor. As a matter of fact, there's a huge part of me that hopes that he gets a chance to see this video. Other people in the neighborhood know about my YouTube channel. If you want to share it with them, I'm totally fine with that. I just want to make sure that my side is fully understood by him, my neighbors, and honestly, in case there's any sort of conflict in the future, that it's just fully understood, where it was that I was coming from. And honestly, I hope it doesn't get to any point that's worse. I hope that it gets better. The specific area that I live in, I've got a guy around the corner who's got 2 old square bodies that he's doing a ton of work on. Got another guy across the street who's working on this really cool custom frame off, I call it like a mini panel van. So he's over there doing a bunch of grinding and welding and things. I had at one point another guy who lived directly next door. His son played drums. So there's enough people that are doing things, myself included. I'm in the garage filming YouTube videos, got motorcycles, side-by-sides. So I think we all do enough things that probably at times are annoying to other people. That's part of living in a community. And I've always taken the approach of live and let live. I'm going to do some things that probably annoy some of my neighbors. They might do some things that might annoy me. But at the end of the day, we're all good people just trying to live our life. Now, my perception of live and let live changed significantly 5 years ago.
Can you stop letting your dogs run around the neighborhood off their leash? I'm sorry, but that really pisses me off. I have a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I know.
She's fucking bad. That's the kind of shit you can't have, man.
No, I know. You just wanted to go play.
That sounds aggressive. That doesn't sound like playing.
She wasn't being aggressive. She just ran over to me.
She was growling as she ran up to my
I know,
dog.
but she didn't fight or do anything. She doesn't.
By the grace of God, she decided not to fight not only my dog, but my 3-year-old daughter. I mean, you can say sorry, it's great, but Jesus Christ, that was almost a big dangerous fucking thing. God, that just... I'm sorry, man, I have a 3-year-old here. The reason why there's leash laws.
Now understand, the day that this dog charged my family, leading up to that event, things with this neighbor, they were totally fine. I had noticed that he was leaving dogs off leash, but he had approached me when we had first moved in around this time to say, like, hey, my name is, and I've lived here pretty much since the neighborhood was built. Seemed like a very nice person. So when I saw a notification that morning, actually, before the aggressive charging happened, I saw this guy picking up dog shit at my front door, literally 10 feet from my front door. And I thought, like, that's weird. I mean, I'm okay at that point. It's like, if you have dogs and they're off leash and you have control of them, like, I don't really care. I do care if they're taking dumps in my front yard. One day I'm going to step out and step into a big pile of dog shit that I wasn't prepared to step in. And it was weird to me. It was less than 35 minutes later that I have a ladder out in the front yard going out there to trim up some palm trees, where this dog aggressively charges my dog. And what scared the shit out of me, my wife and at the time 3-year-old daughter were standing just off camera in the garage. Had that dog bypassed my dog and went straight for them,
is it chilly?
We would have had a significant problem. So you hear me in that exchange wrestling with that whole live and let live mentality. You heard me kind of struggle with making it very clear that this was very unacceptable, but also trying to still be as respectful in that process as I possibly could.
I'm sorry, man, I have a 3-year-old here.
Now, what's important to realize is that this guy doesn't live directly across the street or directly next door. He is across the street and 3 houses down. So you're talking a couple hundred feet door to door. It's not something where this was just a direct next door neighbor, dog got away kind of thing. This is like, it came from down the street a little bit. So a year passes. We had noticed throughout that entire duration, the dog's being off leash. We kept a super close eye on it. I wasn't really at the point of either knowing what to do or if there was anything to do, other than just keep a really close watch. I'm a gun owner. I've owned guns for well over 10 years now. Also, my wife, I'll leave her profession out. This is a picture of her coming home from work, very proud of what she had done at her day at the office. After that initial attack had happened, you know, we were very clear with each other, like, hey, if you leave the house, it's probably wise to have a gun on you in case this happens again, especially with, now we're a year later, so our 4-year-old daughter. We took this very seriously. So here we are, 1 year, 1 month after that aggressive dog charged my dog in my front yard. And this is where I got concerned, because not only is this dog in my front yard, it seems to be sniffing out my dog at my front door from, again, multiple houses away. I guess we kind of just left it again with, like, just make sure you don't open that front door without being armed, because this right here is a situation of literally opening the door and being mauled in my hallway from somebody else's dog that has shown an aggressive behavior previously. And I'm not really interested in either myself getting mauled or breaking up a dog fight in my own home because I opened the door to check for a package. That is an unreasonable expectation for my neighbor to set for me. Things were going to get much worse 16 days later. I took my daughter on a walk to go and just look at Christmas decorations in the neighborhood. Seems like something that is pretty reasonable to do. At this point, my daughter, she's 4 or 5 years old. We're just going out to take a look at what people have for decorations. Now I, knowing that this dog situation has been ongoing for a while, am armed, and that makes me sad to think that I have to be armed to go and look at Christmas decorations in my own neighborhood, which otherwise is a relatively safe neighborhood, but it is what it is. So we're walking the neighborhood, and as we get close to this guy's house, intentionally, I walk my daughter across the street, and I put myself between this guy's house and my daughter, just in case, you never know. Lo and behold, he opens the door. I don't know what he's doing, checking the mail, whatever he's doing. He opens his front door as we are directly in front of his house across the street, and his dog beelines for us, and it closed so fast, matter of 50 feet, that I wasn't able to even go for my gun because I had to go for my daughter to make sure she was shielded by me. My initial instinct, again, was to just make sure my daughter was behind me and shout at that dog to stop. And that was all I could do, literally in a split second. On top of that, had I have drawn, it was my daughter, myself, the dog, and then right behind the dog, the owner running out to grab his dog. So he was my backstop. None of it was good. So luckily they both stopped as they were hollered at to stop. I picked my daughter up and we walked back home. And as I was watching this video back now 3-4 years later, it's crazy to me that my child was able to understand the significance of how bad that was, but that this adult didn't. So at that point, I had reached out to law enforcement to say, like, hey, this thing just happened. And their response was that if nobody had gotten bitten and the dogs were back in the house, there really wasn't anything they could do about it. That was frustrating. And 6 days later, the most insane conversation that I have ever been a part of took place in my front yard.
I thought I maybe had a good idea, but whether you liked it or not, we'll find out.
So I thought, yeah, he had a good idea. And it's like, all right, great. And again, keep in mind, I'm a very live and let live kind of guy. So it's like, what do you got? But to say that I wasn't frustrated at the beginning of this conversation before I even said anything would be disingenuous. I was not a big fan of this guy's carelessness at this point, but it's like, what do you got to say? I'm all ears.
I thought maybe bring your daughter over to me. Because when Zoe, if you see Zoe, hey Zoe. Yeah, I know it's the other side with the leash, but I'm just saying.
Bring your daughter over to me. Just keep playing.
If you know Zoe, you like Zoe. She's playing with 4 kids, and they run around. And Mocha is sweet, but Mocha never any trouble. He's always fun.
So he says Mocha isn't ever any trouble. Zoe's the one. So he just acknowledged that there's an issue with Zoe. Whether he knows he acknowledged it or not, I hope he sees this video, because this is what I'm hearing is, okay, you're saying that Mocha is great. Zoe is the one that's an issue, that we now are in this together.
She'll go after. She don't bite, but it's that ferocious.
Yeah, I mean,
It's that ferocious.
I appreciate the offer. I'm a little apprehensive with how they've been. I don't want to bring my daughter. I don't want to bring her into that, but
well, you see. Yeah, but if you meet Zoe and say, "Hey, Zoe," she becomes friends.
I met Zoe twice. I'm not interested in meeting Zoe ever again.
It's not that you're an enemy, but anybody that comes, it's,
so
like your dog is going to be protective or bark you when someone comes to your house.
I have no problem with your dogs being protective at your house. I have a massive problem with them being protective across the street and down the road. That's where we have a problem.
I'm just saying that way your daughter will see, and not that I'll ever have her around or get close or just be.
I mean, here's the thing is that I don't feel like I should be adjusting my life for somebody else's lack of following the rules.
It's like us getting to know each other or getting.
Right, but hear me out. So if my dog one time, because my dog actually has, like at the dog park and stuff, he gets aggressive with other dogs. I don't then make that their burden to adjust their life to figure out how to work around my dog. I just don't take my dog there because I understand.
So that's true. My dog has actually been bit twice at dog parks, and that's part of why the whole dog attacking thing is a concern to me. Is even if your dog runs up to my dog and is the sweetest dog that's ever existed, my dog will sniff him, sort of play for about 30 seconds, and then the moment that even the sweetest dog in the world jumps up on him or does anything to make him skittish, he'll bite because he's scared of other dogs now because of what happened in the past. So I know that I can't let that happen, and I can't prevent that from happening if your dogs are off leash. So that is, first of all, a problem in and of itself. I'm far more concerned about my daughter or wife or myself getting mauled more than my dog. I hate to say that, but I love my dog, but my dog's a dog. My family, that's more my biggest concern is I don't want my dog or family getting mauled by his dogs.
So as much as I respect and appreciate what you're saying and your approach,
but it's better if you know Zoe, you're not going to have that form and that thinking that she's going to attack us.
But part of like living in a law-abiding society is that we
I started
don't
struggling with my words here.
like looking out for each other's neighbors and all that stuff. The whole just neighborly kind of thing is that if I'm doing anything, if I'm blaring my music, I don't ask you to come over and listen to it because it's really great music and you might like it. I just go, oh shit, I've got to turn my music down because I care about my neighbors. So I feel like what you're proposing to me is like, hey, my dogs are aggressively charging your dog, your daughter. Why don't you come over and meet my dogs? No, just solve the problem and don't let your dogs run free in the neighborhood. I don't know why that wire in your head isn't like clicking to go.
No, yeah, but why didn't you just say sure? Why? It's like, no, I'm not giving in.
Because your dogs have aggressively charged my dog and my daughter. So I don't want to bring her into the lion's den to let her see how nice these lions really are. I prefer to not be exposed to that.
I thought it might be something
I appreciate. I do. I do.
Because if you know so, you see them play 4 kids. They're not aggressive.
I genuinely appreciate what your offer. I genuinely appreciate that you're thinking about it. It's nice to know that you are. But what I'm telling you is that I'm not comfortable with your dogs. I'm flat out not comfortable with your dogs. I think your dogs are aggressive. I think your dogs have behavior issues. The fact that they run out the front door and charge somebody across the street like that is not okay with me or anybody else. And I don't know for the life of me why that's hard for you to respect. Well, you don't have to hold them.
I take them to the dog park every morning.
They have leashes. That's why there's leash laws. That's why. I mean, I don't know.
But if you meet them, you wouldn't have that attitude.
I don't want to meet your dogs.
I've met them as they aggressively charge me and my daughter.
If you meet them or played with them, it wouldn't happen.
But do you understand why that's not my responsibility to come over and like play with your dogs and now I need to cater my life around to let your dogs run free in the neighborhood? That's kind of what you're proposing, isn't it?
I'm not proposing that at all. All I said is for you to meet the dog and see that
I've met the dogs.
But do you realize that the way the laws are written, the way that we are as a society is that I shouldn't have to be burdened by your dogs for even a split second.
No, I know.
I shouldn't have to.
That's cool.
It's just not registering. It's just not registering with you. Just don't let your dogs out the front door unless they have a leash on. I don't open my garage. I don't open my front door unless Gunner is on a leash.
Yeah.
Why do you not do the same thing? Well, I'm asking you genuinely, and I would like an answer. Why do you not put your dog on a leash? But why not?
Because I've never put them on a
Especially after they've charged my dog and my daughter. Why are you so careless not to put them on a leash? I would like to know the answer to that.
I try to put them right there and I put them right in the house. You know.
But you failed twice. In my experience, you failed twice, and they've aggressively charged my dog and my daughter. So why has that not triggered something in your head to say, I need to put these dogs on a leash? End of story. What? Answer that question.
I'm trying to make sure that they do it.
The only way to guarantee that is to put them on a leash. It's easy. It's a simple solution. See that daughter? She's that girl right there is my world. I have instructed my wife. I've instructed myself not to leave the house without a gun now because of your dogs. Do you realize how fucked up?
This was actually sad to me. Is like my wife and daughter came out. I think my wife heard me yelling. But either way, they come outside, and at this point, it's like I don't understand. And I hope he's watching this video because I don't understand how that wasn't understood. The proposal to me of it, none of it made any sense. And if you were to watch this, and I'm speaking again directly to this gentleman, is that if you were to watch this, understand that I genuinely felt conflicted about, I appreciate that you cared enough to come over and talk to me. Genuinely, I mean that. I don't know why the respect wasn't given back to go like, okay, look, I get it. Sorry, we couldn't come to terms or whatever. It was a one-way street. It was either I accept the world that he wants to live in where his dogs are allowed to do whatever and I got to come over to his house and play with his dogs. Like, this is not my responsibility. I got to a point where I was like, he's not getting it. And unfortunately, now I need to go to a place where I need to make it crystal clear that not only is that not acceptable, but the consequences of your actions are potentially, you're putting the burden on me. And I had to make this very clear, and that's what I do here.
That is?
I don't have to cuss.
I do because I'm angry. And you don't get it.
You act like
They've aggressively charged my family twice.
Okay.
Twice. It's a pack mentality. One of the dogs decides to charge, the other one comes with it. And it's not uncommon to have dogs come at people.
I just yelled just automatically.
If you didn't open that door, my daughter will be in the ER right now. if you didn't happen to be there at that very split second.
They've never
Or me.
attacked anybody, ever. They never, ever attacked.
So okay, let's just say you weren't there.
They've never attacked anybody.
They're aggressively charging. They're growling.
Maybe they haven't attacked anybody else. But I would argue that what I experienced was closer to any dog attack than I ever would want to be.
Aggressively running after her, and you're not there. They just stopped.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I know so.
Well, that's why I won't leave the house without a firearm, because I will shoot those dogs if they do it again. And I'm telling you, the simple way to resolve that is put them on a fucking leash, like the rest of the world does. I appreciate your offer, but just put them on a leash.
I appreciate your offer. Just put them on a leash. So, look, after that, it was pretty obvious to me that the behavior wasn't going to change. I had noticed this continued, and I didn't think the conversation we had previously sunk in, so I walked over to make it very clear. Now, unfortunately, I don't capture the audio of this because my Santa in the front yard, the fan blowing air into him, drowned it out, and I wasn't like shouting or anything. I was just having a pretty firm but level-headed conversation where I walked over and I just made it very clear. I said, look, if animal control shows up, just be okay knowing that I'm the one that called. If you can't do this leash law thing voluntarily, I don't know what else to do, but I need to do something because I got to protect my family. And that was really what it boiled down to. And I don't want to shoot your dogs. And I told him that in this conversation. I said, look, don't put me in a situation where I need to shoot your dogs in front of my 5-6-year-old daughter. I don't want to be responsible for the bullets that leave a gun. I don't want to kill any dogs. I love dogs. I have a dog. I've always loved dogs. And I don't want that trauma for my daughter. But I also don't want the consequences that come with a bullet leaving the end of a firearm in a neighborhood. That's serious stuff. And you're putting all of that on me. You think, okay, the craziness is over, but it's not. It's like the crazy gets crazier. Here we are, June 20th of 2021. You're like thinking to yourself, what's he doing directly next door to your house? I was thinking the same thing. I actually had some elderly neighbors. In the wintertime, they would leave Denver, come to Phoenix, and then in the summertime, they would go back to Denver, and they kind of split residency. So this guy, I think he said at the time that he was like watching their house, but I think he was just using the fact that they weren't in their driveway to be able to park there and use it as free parking spaces. And I caught that he was loading and unloading his dogs now directly next door to my house. I had said,
Hey, I saw you unloaded the dogs yesterday next to my house. I appreciate it if you took it seriously, man.
And the level of carelessness here, dismissiveness, is next level. I just said like, hey, I saw what you're doing and I just did one of those. Cut it out. They just both turned to me and were like, pfft, and turned around and walked away. If you consider yourself even remotely a good neighbor, you would not do this kind of stuff. So it became to me a point of like, okay, now this guy is trying to assert dominance, kind of like his dogs, like mind-blowingly absurd and ignorant. And this is somebody who's calling me an asshole. So even through all of this, what I would call flat out disrespect for a neighbor or whatever you want to call it, I still have no problems. I say I have problems with the disrespect, but if the dogs were to be solved for tomorrow, I would have no issue with this guy at all. And I genuinely mean that. So I have reported now to animal control.
The dog criminal citation for that, and still he's doing it. Yeah. And like literally that's all we can keep doing is citation.
It doesn't seem to change anything, which is crazy to me. But what seemed to have happened is after I said, hey, I'm going to call them every single time I see it, I didn't do that. And it was partially out of just trying to still be a good neighbor. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but I feel like I'm being forced to be that guy. And It really sucks. So I think over the course of this duration, because I haven't reported literally every single time, I mean, at this point, I would assume there could be hundreds of tickets that could have been issued over these handful of years. And there's only been a handful because I've tried my best to still keep this live and let live neighborhood mentality. And it's only gotten me to the point now where I think my kindness has been mistaken for weakness. And what happened last week and what I was called an asshole for, literally, I just got my daughter in the truck and was going to drop her off at school. And here is the same guy. He's parked across the street from his house, unloading the dogs and allowing them to just freely roam across the street as he has a handful of stuff, completely unable to control the dogs should anything go wrong. And this is a moment where I literally just missed this by mere seconds of me and my daughter being out front of the house at the time that these dogs were also outside. It's just way too close for comfort for me. And I think that I'm within reason for that. Let me know in the comments down below. Please, if somebody can explain to me how I've got this wrong. One of the first times that I called animal control, they came back over to my house and said, yeah, he told me that you guys have had some neighborly squabbles before. And just even the way that was put, I was like, no, we haven't. It's just the dogs. I don't care about anything else this guy does. I genuinely don't care. We have no other, there's no other ongoing beef. It's not like I'm using the dogs to get at him for something else. It's not like that. It's just the dogs. And the fact that that's what he told animal control at some point was like, no, it's only the dogs. Leash the dogs. That's it. Again, I hate the fact that I've had to come up with what I'm going to do in this situation to defend myself from potentially being attacked by dogs, protect my family. And I'm not afraid to do it. I don't want to do it. So just to close this out, I'm going to keep on with my live and let live mentality. Sometimes we're going to get on each other's nerves. It's going to happen. And all you can do is try to be a better person. And I really, really hope, don't expect it to happen, but I genuinely hope that this neighbor, whose name left out of the entire video, will continue to leave out, just watches and goes like, oh, geez, I didn't see it that way. And I'm holding out hope in him. Just maybe there's a part of humanity in this person to be like, man, I didn't realize it was that bad. As a YouTuber, it's like, man, I've had this thing on my chest for a long time. I don't know how else to communicate it. I've tried to go through the police. I've tried to go through animal control. And unless the dogs are actively killing or have killed somebody, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot they can do about it. The guy himself doesn't seem to care. And I guess if you don't care that much about it, you wouldn't care that I'd be making this video either. With that being said, guys, bizarre video today. With that being said, thank you very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in or you're my neighbor across the street, hit that subscribe button. Also remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I'll see you next time. Out of control. Out of control.